YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Netty back with another video. Today we're doing the top 5 loadouts in Season 2 Reloaded. I'm not going to go talking too much into the intro, so we're going to get straight into it. I'm really excited for this video. I've been planning to do this for a while, but obviously Season 2 Reloaded just dropped, so this isn't in any particular order. These are just the way I have my classes set out. There are timestamps down below if you want to just scroll through and see what guns you want to use and what guns are best for you, then we can obviously do that. That's fine by me. I don't care as long as you're here to hang out. We'll be doing a subathon this weekend, so make sure you go check that out all the way through from Friday night till Sunday night. So it's my goodbye UK subathon. So hope to see you guys there. I personally think this is the best AR at the moment. This is a very, very easy gun, no matter the skill level you are on in Warzone. This is very, very easy to use. The one I have set up here with the laser is more for a Sheikah Island, Rebirth, whatever you want to call it. But what I would recommend if you are struggling with the recoil, because it has a little bit, as you can see right here, it has a little bit of kind of sway with the laser. So what I like to do is set it up with Commando foregrip and have the recoil set for aiming stability and recoil. Most of the ARs and the main guns that we do use are literally all set up for damage range and recoil steadiness. So as you can imagine, that's literally all the tuning for all of these guns is for that anyway. All my aim, OP, foresights, whatever you want to use it, are all set to close. They're all a little bit different, and some of them has a flinch resistance, but not all of them. But this is super, super easy to use. Now the fire shotty is not here. We have the MP5 meta, which I've been waiting for since the game came out. I love the MP5. It feels so good. Every single COD has had a great MP5 from what I can remember from what I played growing up. Now for this, it kind of looks a bit familiar to the Warzone 1 MP5. As you can see, the recoil's a little bit strange, but it's more built for movement and mobility, which most SMGs are built for nowadays, but it still hits like a truck. Close range, it has a great hip fire accuracy. That's where the foregrip comes into it. I don't actually tune this. I kind of leave it as it is because it gives it a good balance. It already has hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, and hip fire recoil, and aiming walking steadiness as well. So it's already built out. I don't need to tune that and make it one way or the other. You can have personal preference, but I don't like to. ADS speed and bullet velocity to try and hit that mid range. It still does very well at hit range, at mid range, shall I say? Sorry. 40 round mags, pretty standard. Stock, you can change this if you want. A lot of people use one of these two. I believe it's this one for aiming stability, recoil, and sprint speed. But if you whack on the no stock, you're going to have more mobility anyway than handling. And then the Lachman TCG 10, again, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed as well. So that's great mobility. The next one is probably my favorite AR actually at the moment. This is the ISO is very easy to use, but this is my favorite gun to use at the moment. The AK, or the Kastov 760, whatever you call it, AK-47. You don't necessarily need a barrel, but as you can see, shooting down range, the recoil does sway a little bit, so I keep the barrel on there more for recoil than damage range, but it doesn't affect the damage at all. But I set it obviously for recoil steadiness and a little bit of damage range as well. 60 to 100 meters, this still hits. It's not as good as what the RAL was, or the Sakin, or the RPK at that range, but because that's a little bit of recoil. But this is more of a skilled player gun, but it's a very, very hard hitting gun. And then if I'm on Rebirth, I'll just change this to this red dot sight anyway. But it's all set again for aiming idle and recoil steadiness and bullet velocity. So very, very good gun. I actually now found out today that this got banned in ranked play because it was a 2-shot/3 shot to the head and 3 shots to the body and 2 shots to the head. So yeah, that's quite funny. And if that's not a good enough reason for you to use it, then I don't know what is. Going on to an SMG that I actually got a little bit messed around with in Season 2 Reloaded in the new patch notes. Not a lot of people are using the barrel anymore, and I kind of set this out for a steady but quick gun. So as you can see, there's pretty much little to no recoil in the firing range, even when moving left to right in kind of strafing. It's a really, really good gun to control. Still hits like a truck from medium SMG range, as I like to call it, and obviously close range as well. So this is the tuning for it. You can kind of mess around with the grips, and want to mess around with it a little bit more, you can take the grip off and add a laser if you want a little bit more mobility. But for me, this kind of perfect. Kind of have a little bit more hip fire accuracy because for me the crosshair is a little bit wider than I wanted to. But ADS speed and gun kick control, that's where the recoil comes in. So very minimal gun kick, and it really helps out with that. Sprint and fire speed, ADS speed for obviously mobility. And then this is the new kind of stock that everyone's been rocking, especially in CDL. Aim walking speed and ADS speed, quicker to peak corners and hold the corners and hold angles, and then start moving away as well with the aim walking speed as well. Now this class obviously has come to a bit of a light really. The TAC-V, this is a really heavy, hard hitting gun, a little bit harder to control recoil wise and hit your shots, because if you don't really have any of these attachments on and using a sight instead, I think it's a little bit harder to use in terms of recoil. I like to use this personally. You've kind of seen me run this in a few videos and on stream, but again, this is all built out for recoil control, because it hits hard. You don't need to add anything for damage. It's all hit ready for recoil steadiness. So you can obviously see that it's pretty easy to use, and obviously hits, again, I've said it enough times, but it hits like a truck. So medium to medium longish range kind of gun. You'll kind of get a feel for it if you use it a lot as well. Now, an old school classic that's definitely come out of the bushes. It got buffed earlier, sort of towards the start of Season 2 Reloaded, but then it got buffed again, which is the MP7. This is all built for mobility. The only problem I have with the MP7, it has a great, magazine, because it's 40 rounds already. This is all built for mobility, because obviously it's more of a heavier SMG. It does have a bit of a drop off, and it is a bit more harder to use in terms of recoil at that range. If that is the case, swap it out for one of these stocks. I would recommend this one, just because obviously it still gives you a bit more movement, a bit more sprint speed, a bit more ADS speed as well. So if you are struggling with this, then just change to this. Obviously you can see the difference in terms of the graph down the bottom there, but personally I like that. And obviously you've got a laser which we can tune now. This one's actually more tuned for aiming stability, because I don't want it to keep waffling around the place. But yeah, sprint to fire speed is for that. This is more for recoil steadies, and the gun control, like I mentioned earlier with the Vaznev, a little bit of a spike up, and it just stops there, so it's not too bad to control. And then something that's a bit more underrated, I think, is the target flinch. Bullet velocity and damage range just kind of helps it with that kind of close to medium SMG ranges fights. You don't necessarily have to have this, but as you can see, it does increase the damage by a fair amount as well. And then the ZLR combat for recoil and sprint to fire speed as well. Last but certainly not least, the new DMR, I think a lot of people are calling it. Really good gun. Bit tedious to unlock at first, but once you get it, it absolutely slaps in multiplayer. It's a 2-shot regardless of, I think, any kind of range really. In Warzone, it's a probably 3-shot, maybe 4-shot maximum, depending on the range you're using, but it's definitely a 3-shot gun. I was just playing with a little bit earlier, and it just absolutely slaps. The only problem is, if you're running it with the 50-round mags, you're going to run out of ammo pretty quickly. You need to kind of stock up on muni boxes or keep a lot of ammo in your backpack, because you can only carry up to 40 sniper bullets, and this is obviously a sniper ammo, and obviously you're spamming it and getting to a lot of gunfights, so you're going to lose a lot of ammo. But at the minute, everyone's using this, so you'll actually be alright. I'm not going to go through the tuning, because there's so many loadout videos out there at the moment. Just find one that suits you, but again, this is all set up for damage range, recoil steadiness. And the last but not least, SMG, which I think is really, really underrated, because the mobility is very, very good, and it just got buffed again in the damage range, so it does hit pretty well, and the iron sights are super clean, so it's very, very easy to use. And the one thing is, for me, the strafe speed. The strafe speed is a bit of a skill gap, but there is that on here on Warzone 2. Not as much as there is on Warzone 1, of course, but that does kind of creep in a little bit here while using this and moving left to right and kind of trying to outgun your opponents and outskill them. So this is the loadout for it. I'll quickly go through this. Of course, damage range, recoil steadiness, sprint to fire speed. I use aiming idle stability because I'm using that strafe speed on the rear stock. I want to kind of keep it kind of smooth and quick for me to use. And ADS speed and aim walking speed. So we're walking and ADSing with this, with the strafe speed, like I mentioned. I want to keep that kind of still whilst aiming down sight. That's the aiming idle stability comes into play. Sprint to fire speed, ADS speed. The only thing that does let this gun down is the 32 round mag, but I think if it had any heavier, it would probably be a bit annoying. If it had 40, it'd be perfect, but I think if it had like a 50 or 60 round mag as an extension onto the magazines, I probably wouldn't use it. But yeah, that's my personal preference. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Really enjoyed making this video. Like I said, we're doing a subathon this weekend. Hope to see you guys there. Drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see soon. Happy to do kind of any videos within reason. So yeah, hope you have a lovely weekend. Take it easy.